We are back again. Time to ride it up here at Hustler Casino Live. You can see a poll. This is a bad look. You can see the table now. All right, we're back here in LA. I'm excited to play poker, obviously coming off of a really big win. Time to ride this momentum, and let's get it going. If you're watching this right now, there's currently a massive tournament series going on in Club WPT Gold. 14 million guaranteed in knockout tournaments. It's a lot of fun. I'll be live streaming. I'll be playing it. If you want to hop in and you're from the United States, click the link in the description below. Use the good old code Rampage, and I'll see you guys in the online streets. But for now, let's go battle some 5100 with some pretty tough opponents today, actually. Let's go.
I buy in for $50,000, and we're going to play one of the toughest lineups on Hustler to date. Everyone here is a regular, even Cole, who is a newcomer, but clearly a good professional. The second shuffle into the session, Cole raises to 300, and I attack it with ace-deuce suited and make it 1,000. Henry just makes the call, and Cole folds, so off to a magical flop of 7-6 deuce, 2 diamonds. Magical, or so I thought. It's amazing to have flopped a pair and flush draw, and given we both started with 50,000, it's nice to build a pot here. He checks and I bet 1,500, and now Henry check raises me to a massive size of 8,000. This large size gives me some cause for concern, but obviously I'm never going to be folding. I'll tread cautiously as I hope to just hit the nuts. The turn 5 of hearts comes, and Henry continues with a bet of 11,000. Once again, I'm just not going to go anywhere, and I make the call. The river 4 of spades is not amazing, completely bricking the flush draw, but maybe this is actually a good card to bluff on. But before I get a chance to, Henry announces all in. Very clear fold for me now, and I let it go. It's a very quick minus $20,000 start for me today here. Jeff in the next one raises the action to 300, followed by 2 calls. I'm looking at pocket nines in the small blind and bump things up to $2,100, which is nowhere near the 100K prize pool tournament that I'm putting up and you can be a part of. But more of that later. Not a single person folds, and off to a bloated pot we go. Flop comes King Jack 4, which is not the best board for me as I check. And before the turn comes, I want you to know that you can qualify for this 100,000 sweep coin tournament instantly by signing up for Club WPT Gold with code Rampage. The turn queen comes, and I start bluffing now to a size of 6,000. And by the way, the free roll takes place on September 21st, so make sure you sign up soon. And we see some resistance from Henry, who makes the call. The river to 3 of diamonds completely changes nothing, and I could totally shut down my bluff, but it's easier to play poker knowing the cards. So I decided to blast off 15,000 into the middle, and you guys can just take all of my money too with this 100K free roll I'm hosting. Also, you get 20 bonus sweep coins to play right now if you use code Rampage. So don't tank too long like Henry did. I wouldn't want you missing out on all of these offers. Click the link below to sign up with code Rampage, and Henry just jams, and I just mistakenly thought you guys watching at home was Henry just giving away free money. I make the fold. Let's get back to maybe hitting some hands. Ishan raises to 300, and I defend with King 7 of clubs. Flop comes Queen 10, 9, 2 clubs, and this is as good of a draw as I can think of. He bets up 600, and it's time to get aggressive with a draw this strong. I make it 2,500, and Ishan makes the call. So potentially another big pot brewing. Can I hit my draw this time? Turn 6 of diamonds, an even better card to see now, giving me a 2-way straight draw along with the flush draw. So a bit bigger here to 6,000. Really trying to build this pot and get it all in when I eventually will hit this river card. He calls again, and the river Queen of Hearts. Oh my goodness. This does not seem like the best card to continue telling my story, and I just give up on my bluff. He checks it back to win, and it's another missed draw for me, meaning I lose more money. This is certainly not the best start, losing all 3 significant hands about an hour into the session. So I'm almost down about 50,000 to start the day. I haven't won any pots, and when you play stakes like these, the losses add up quite fast. Henry starts off the next hand with a raise of 300, airball 3 bets, and these two are super active and been battling a lot today. I want to interject myself into the mix with ace 4 suited and decided to 4-bet this one to 3,000. I'm hoping this will look quite believable, and it actually does until Henry blasts another raise to 10,000. Yeah, this is just a disaster now. I just let it go, and it's another failed attempt at winning a hand. I just want to get on the board and win something. But shortly, I pick up ace-9 and raise to 300. I get called by Henry in the small blind, who just took 3,000 off of me, so maybe I can get some of my money back. The flop comes 5-5-3 2 spades, and Henry leads out for 300. I've got ace-high and a dream. I'm not going to fold just yet. I call. The turn 9, pretty amazing now. It feels like I just might win and have an easy decision. Henry fires again, this time nearing the size of the pot to 1,300. I'm never going to go anywhere. I make the call yet again. The river 8 of spades, very, very annoying card to see now, and even more so when Henry bets out 2,800. I mean, at this point of the night, it feels like he's repping a 5 or a flush. It's hard to imagine there are many bluffs that's going to bet 3 times in a row. And to me, I feel like I'm just making all the wrong decisions today since I haven't won a pot. I'm too stubborn to fold now, and I flick in a call and see great news that I have the winner. So here we go. On the board, ready to right this ship. I win the first pot of the night for me. And just like that, the stakes actually get bumped up to 100, 200, which is perfect timing now. I got my losses out of the way, got the run bet out of the way. It's time to get it all back with the blinds being increased. With airball raising things up to 1,000, I look at a very nice looking ace-10 of clubs and 3-bet him to 3,500. Jeff now wakes up and 4-bets me to 7,500. He's been very quiet today, but I think this price is far too good for me to fold. I make the call knowing I probably have to hit something here as I'm behind. Well, the flop comes 10-4-3, so maybe this is the flop I was looking for. In a 4-bet pot, it's pretty hard to fold top pair, top kicker, especially against someone like Jeff who's willing to bluff off all his chips. So he bets out 4,500 and I call yet again. The turn 6 of hearts feels pretty safe. I'd imagine he'd continue bluffing here a lot with like ace-5 or even ace-4. And this time he bets 11,000. Once again, I have an easy decision to make a call. The river 8 doesn't change a single thing, I don't think, and it's a pretty safe card overall. That is until he announces all in, putting my entire stack in there, which is about the size of the pot. And once again, I really don't think I'm able to fold this one. I don't really take my time and quickly make the decision to call and get shown the awful news here, losing a $134,000 pot. And maybe I should have thought it out more, and maybe, just maybe, I could have found a fold against Jeff, who hasn't played too many hands. But ultimately, I think my hand actually performs way better than like pocket jacks or even queens. So I lose the biggest pot of the night, and now it's become actually quite miserable for me today. I'm down $120,000. I add on for another $80K, and there's 2 more hours of stream to turn things around. But right now, it just feels like I'm losing every single hand tonight for piles and piles of money. You can see from the stats, I've lost the most amount of hands out of everyone at the table. It's really not a great time to be in my shoes right now. And at this point, I add on for another $50,000, which brings me in for a total of $250K. It's $250,000 that I've bought in for, but that's nothing in comparison to Nick adding on for another $1 million, who's tilted out of his mind. Regardless, this is near the most I've ever bought into a game for, and it's honestly a disgusting amount of money to play poker with, but hopefully I can make the most of this investment. Of course, I put on the tilted $800 straddle, and an even more tilted airball raises to $4,000. Looking at it, 7-5 of hearts, I have to defend my honor, right, and make the call. The flop comes queen jack 7 rainbow. Nick bets 3K, and with the pair and how tilted Nick is at this point of the night, I don't think I can fold anything. So I call in the turn jack of hearts, which is pretty cool here, sitting with a flush draw. He checks it over to me, and I decided to actually check this one back as Nick could potentially bluff me off my hand at some point. So the river comes a 4. Nick fires out 5,000. It's a pretty big bet monetarily wise, but considering the size of the pot, it's actually quite small. I expect to lose a lot, but I do flick in another call and actually win here. It's a pretty decent sized pot for once. The straddle pays off, and I have newfound profit of $12,000 in this hand. This is actually quite a new experience today, picking up some chips. And immediately after the next shuffle, I have the $400 straddle on. Henry raises to 1,000 from the button. Airball 3-bets to 5,000. And I look at 9-8 suited. Typically, I can just fold. but most opponents aren't as tilted as Nick is, so I'm trying to go on offense, and I raise again to 14,000. Henry has his own decision to make and actually puts in another raise to 36,000. I mean, it's like every time I try to make a move today, it just never seems to work. And what's even crazier is Nick puts in another raise to 70,000. Okay, guys, I fold, let it go, move on. Henry decides to make the call, and I would have seen a glorious pot for me to commit all of my chips in there. But Henry's pocket kings will hold up and scoop a monster pot. So I guess nice work to Henry. I kind of just gave away all the money I won one hand prior. But nothing will stop me from putting on the $800 straddle as I am down over $140,000 today. Got to get out of this hole and try to play bigger. Jeff raises to 2,000. Cole makes the call, and let's just call two with King 9 offsuit. And the flop of 8-5 deuce doesn't really change anything for me, but Jeff puts out a bet of 3,000. Cole ends up folding, and I could certainly follow suit with the fold of my own, but I'm too stuck for this, and I take the aggressive route to check raise to 10,000. Really hoping Jeff didn't connect too hard, but he does come along for a call. And the turn 7 of spades is basically the best card in the deck I wanted to see. It improves me to a couple of draws, and I'm going to fire out again for 17,000, and I'll luckily get the fold this time, so I'll profit some back here after being just a little reckless this hand and lucky at the same time. The next hand with a $400 straddle, Nick raises to 1,000. I decide to just make the call, and Henry calls too. Flop comes King 8-3, and I decided to be quite passive, and action checks through. Turn comes another king, which I feel quite better about my pocket nines. Nick throws out a small bet of 1,100, and I'm not going to go anywhere, deciding to just make the call. But then Henry check raises it to 4,200, and now Nick lets his cards go. But now I'm in my shoes. I really don't know what's happening here. On one hand, Henry is up very big, so he probably just wants to lock up the win and play a little tighter now. But also, he needs to be trapping with a king for me to be losing, which seems a little unrealistic, so I call yet again. Now the river, deuce of diamonds, Henry checks, and I feel like my hand is worth at least some sort of a value bet. To be fair, I think most of the time he's going to have airball bluffs, but sometimes I can just get an 8 to call, so I go pretty small to 3,500, trying to eke out just a little bit of money left. But Henry makes a very disciplined fold, and even though I didn't get the maximum value here, I am stringing along 2 winning hands in a row. Huge accomplishment for me considering how things are going today, but there are no major pots, but it does feel good to know that at least I am allowed to win some pots again. There's no straddle on in the next hand, and I finally got a premium, sadly, in pocket queens. Cole raises to 500, I 3-bet to 1,700, and he makes the call. Here we go to a flop without a straddle, sadly, and the flop is 9-7-6. Overall, pretty connected and not the best board for pocket queens, but considering it's against an early position player, it seems fine to bet here, and I size up to 3,000. Cole makes the call, and we're going to see a beautiful brick on the turn, the deuce of diamonds. Cole checks yet again, and I think it's time to ramp things up because maybe I'm trying to play an all-in pot, maybe charge some draws, maybe get value from worse pairs. I bet 14,000 into the middle, and Cole, who's been actually quite nitty the entire night, lets it go, making a very good fold. It feels like I won the minimum here, but hey, once again, beggars can't be choosers today. A win is a win. And for the very last hand and last shuffle of the night, Henry raises to 1,100. Cole makes the call, and here I'm desperate to bump things up. Anytime I can be aggressive, I'm going to take that route, especially how much I'm down. I raise it to 5,000 with Queen 9 of diamonds, and Cole makes the call. I played this pot in position knowing that Cole is up quite small, and I'm pretty sure he wants this stream to be over and to lock up a win. So we're going to a flop of 10-10-3. Cole checks, and I'm hoping to win this pot right now with a small bet of $3,000, but sadly this time, once again, facing some resistance as he calls. The turn 5 of diamonds is perfect, giving me some hope with a flush draw now. I ramp up the pressure to 12,000. Like I said, Cole is up small. Cole, just fold, man. Lock up the win. He's clearly nervous. The game is far too big for him, and he just wants it to end. But instead, Cole ends up check raising to 25,000? Look, I have no idea what's going on, but like I said, I'm in full tilt mode. I'm trying to get all the money and get very greedy, hoping to hit my draw. If he has a 10, good for him, but he did look very nervous. I go for what is considered a suicide jam. It really doesn't accomplish much because everything better than me will call, everything worse than me will fold. But this time my opponent quickly folds and he actually had better, which is incredible. Whew, it's even better knowing I actually would have missed the flush draw had he called my all-in. So this would have been a disastrous hand. But here in this hand, Cole just gifts me an extra 25,000, which I will happily take. But this hand at least brings my losses down just under 100,000, which makes me feel like a massive win considering how bad the last 5 hours had gone. Very silly game today. I was in it for $250,000, which is far too much money. Out of the game for $179,500 for a loss. Back at it next week. See you guys. If you made it this far, hit the like and subscribe button. They're free. Help support the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.